Welcome to our deep dive where we're going to unpack some fascinating insights about social media. You might be surprised to learn that our source material is actually a YouTube video designed to help people learn English.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's called Learn English with Podcast Conversation, Episode 17, English Podcast for Beginners. But don't worry, we're not here for a language lesson. This video unexpectedly reveals some really thought-provoking points about the impact of social media on our lives.
It's a great example of how valuable insights can come from the most unexpected places.
Exactly. Like finding a hidden gem in a pile of ordinary rocks.
I like that.
So to kick things off, let's jump right into the video's opening question. Which social media platform do you use the most, and why? Take a second to think about that. It's amazing how quickly we can identify our platform of choice, right?
It is.
It's become such an ingrained part of our daily routines.
Yeah, it really has. It's a testament to how seamlessly these platforms have become integrated into our lives. But that very ease of use and accessibility is what makes it so important to examine their potential impact.
Right, just because something is convenient and enjoyable doesn't mean it's always good for us.
Definitely not.
Now, one of the speakers in the video shares a personal anecdote that I think a lot of us can relate to. He talks about feeling lost and even physically weak because he's been spending so much time on online games and social media. Have you ever experienced something similar where your online activity starts to affect your mood or even your physical well-being?
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
It's a surprisingly common experience, and it speaks to the potential for social media to become overwhelming. The video uses a really helpful analogy to illustrate this.
Well, I like a good analogy.
They compare it to carrying a huge pile of books. At first, it might seem manageable,
Right.
but the longer you carry it, the heavier and more cumbersome it becomes. Eventually, you might start to feel strained, even exhausted.
I love that analogy. It perfectly captures that feeling of mental overload we can get from the constant stream of information, notifications, and comparisons that come with social media. It's like our brains are being bombarded with stimuli, and it can be hard to process it all without feeling overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And the video then delves into how much time the speakers spend on social media each day.
Okay.
One speaker admits to spending a whopping 4 to 5 hours a day,
Wow.
while the other speaker is much more mindful, limiting her use to just 20 minutes to an hour max. It's a stark difference that highlights the wide range of social media habits out there.
It's fascinating how our social media usage can vary so dramatically, isn't it? It really makes you stop and think about your own habits. Are you more of a 4 to 5 hours person or a 20 minutes person? And more importantly, how do you feel after spending that amount of time on social media?
Such a good question. It's not just about the quantity of time, but the quality of our engagement. Are we using social media in a way that nourishes us? Or are we mindlessly scrolling and comparing ourselves to others, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy and unhappiness?
That's a perfect segue into the next point from the video, the idea that social media interactions can sometimes replace genuine personal connections. They give the example of tagging someone in a birthday post instead of actually calling or spending time with them. It's convenient, sure, but is it truly connecting?
I think it can feel like connecting at the time, but it's not the same.
Right, it's not a genuine in-person human connection.
Exactly. That's a really important point. It speaks to the potential for social media to create a sense of pseudo-connection. We might feel like we're staying in touch with people.
We are in a way, but
But are we really nurturing those relationships in a meaningful way?
yeah, are we sacrificing depth for breadth?
Yeah, exactly.
And the video then zooms in on Facebook specifically, sharing some eye-opening research from a major U.S. university that linked Facebook use to feelings of inadequacy and unhappiness. Have you heard about this?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a growing body of research exploring the potential negative effects of social media on mental health, and Facebook being one of the most popular platforms has been a focal point for many of these studies.
Yeah. The video specifically mentions that constantly comparing ourselves to others on Facebook can lead to these negative feelings.
Yeah.
Seeing those seemingly perfect lives, vacations, accomplishments, it's easy to start feeling like we're not measuring up.
And it is. It's that age-old phenomenon of social comparison, but social media amplifies it in a way that we've never experienced before. We're bombarded with curated versions of people's lives, often highlighting their successes and downplaying their struggles. It's a recipe for feeling inadequate.
And the video emphasizes that the more time you spend on Facebook, the worse you might feel. They even mention that seeing other people's beautiful, funny profile pictures can make us feel like our own lives are less exciting.
It's so true.
So true.
And that brings us to a specific study mentioned in the video that's worth highlighting. It was conducted by researchers Holly B. Shakya and Nicholas A. Christakis. And what makes this study particularly compelling is that they tracked participants' Facebook use and well-being over a 2-year period. So we're not just talking about short-term effects here.
2 years of data, that's pretty substantial.
It is. It definitely adds weight to the idea that excessive Facebook use can have a lasting impact on our mental and emotional well-being.
Absolutely. And what did they find?
What they found was that increased Facebook use was associated with decreased well-being in terms of both mental and physical health, as well as overall life satisfaction.
Wow, it really makes you stop and think about how you're using Facebook, doesn't it?
Mm.
It's a reminder that even seemingly harmless activities can have unintended consequences if we're not careful.
Absolutely. And it speaks to the importance of being mindful and intentional about our social media use.
And here's another point from the video that really struck me. They talk about the lack of privacy on Facebook and how it can feel like your mind is being read unknowingly. It's a chilling reminder that what we share online can have unintended consequences.
Yeah, and I think, even if we set our privacy settings to the max, you still get that feeling sometimes like things are being... Yeah,
Like you're being watched, followed.
exactly.
It's a valid concern, especially given the amount of personal information we often share on social media.
Yeah,
It's easy to forget that even seemingly harmless posts contribute to a digital footprint that might be used in ways we haven't anticipated.
exactly.
Right. It's a good reminder to be mindful of what we post and to adjust our privacy settings to reflect our comfort levels. Now, the video then highlights research from Utah University's psychology department that found that seeing other people's success on Facebook can actually drain our mental strength and make it harder to stay positive. It ties back to that feeling of comparison we were talking about earlier.
It does. It's like our brains are wired to make those comparisons, whether we consciously want to or not. And when we're constantly bombarded with images and stories of other people's achievements, it can take a toll on our own sense of self-worth and motivation. It's almost like we're depleting our reserves of optimism and resilience.
It's like a negativity spiral, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see someone else succeeding, you feel a pang of envy or inadequacy, and it becomes harder to focus on your own goals and progress.
Exactly. It's a cycle we need to be aware of so we can break free from it and reclaim our sense of agency.
Well said. It's all about recognizing those patterns and making conscious choices about how we engage with social media. We can choose to focus on the positive, to celebrate others' successes without diminishing our own, and to use social media as a source of inspiration rather than a trigger for self-doubt.
That's a great point. It's about shifting our perspective and using these platforms in a way that empowers us rather than disempowers us.
Now, the video then shifts gears and dives into the world of TikTok, making a bold claim that it might be even more addictive than other platforms like Instagram or YouTube. What are your thoughts on that?
I can definitely see how TikTok's format could lend itself to addictive tendencies with its endless scroll of short, engaging videos. It's easy to get sucked in and lose track of time.
I know I've definitely fallen victim to that TikTok vortex. You start watching one video, and the next thing you know, an hour has gone by.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a black hole of entertainment.
It is. And there's actually evidence to support that claim. Studies have shown that TikTok's algorithm is incredibly effective at delivering personalized content that keeps users hooked. It's designed to learn your preferences and feed you a constant stream of videos that are tailored to your interests, which can make it incredibly difficult to resist.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
It's like they've cracked the code to our brain's reward systems.
And the video points out some key features that contribute to TikTok's addictive nature. For instance, the autoplay feature ensures that videos keep rolling without you even having to lift a finger. And the short-form nature of the content provides constant, instant rewards in the form of laughs, surprises, or interesting information.
It's that instant gratification cycle, right? You get a little dopamine hit with each video, which keeps you coming back for more. And they also highlight that because the videos are so short, it's easy to fool yourself into thinking you're not spending that much time on the app.
Exactly. It's that just one more video mentality that can quickly turn into an hour or more of mindless scrolling.
Right.
And before you know it, you've lost track of time and potentially neglected other things you meant to do.
It's a perfect storm of addictive design elements. And I think it's a great reminder that we need to be aware of the potential downsides of even seemingly harmless forms of entertainment.
Absolutely. It's not about demonizing TikTok or any other platform, but rather about developing a critical awareness of how these technologies are designed and how they can impact our behavior.
And I think that Awareness is the first step toward making more conscious choices about how we use social media.
Absolutely. It's about reclaiming our agency and deciding how we want to spend our time and energy.
Well said. Now, the video makes another interesting point about short-form video entertainment in general. It provides quick bursts of entertainment, but it's not very fulfilling in the long run. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great point, and it's something I've certainly observed in my own life and in the lives of people around me. I think it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking constant stimulation and quick hits of dopamine, but true fulfillment often comes from engaging in activities that require more effort, focus, and time.
Right. And they also touch on how this constant consumption of short-form videos can lead to procrastination. Even if the content seems harmless, it can still become a barrier to productivity and achieving our goals.
It's that classic displacement effect. We might tell ourselves we'll just watch one video, but then that turns into 10, and suddenly we've run out of time for the things that truly matter.
So true. It's all about finding that balance and being mindful of how we're spending our precious time. Now, the video offers some advice, specifically for parents who are concerned about their children's screen time and potential social media addiction. They suggest monitoring screen time and encouraging offline activities.
Yeah, it's really sound advice. Children are especially vulnerable to the addictive nature of these platforms, and it's crucial for parents to set healthy boundaries and model balanced technology use.
They even suggest that limiting children's mobile phone access altogether might be beneficial for their development. It's a bold suggestion, but given the potential downsides we've been discussing, it's definitely worth considering.
It is. It's about prioritizing those real-world experiences, social interactions, and unstructured playtime that are so crucial for a child's cognitive, emotional, and social development.
Now, here's a scenario from the video that I'm sure many of us can relate to. That feeling of unease and discomfort when we're separated from our phones, even for a few minutes. It's like we've become tethered to these devices.
It really is, and it's something I've noticed in myself as well. That feeling of reaching for my phone, even when I know it's not there.
Right, like phantom phone syndrome.
Exactly. It's a sign of our constant connectivity and the way these devices have become extensions of ourselves.
They really have.
We rely on them for communication, information, entertainment, and even a sense of security. So when we're separated from them, it can trigger feelings of anxiety and a sense of being disconnected from the world.
It's like we've developed a digital dependency. And the video then reveals a bit of a secret behind social media's addictiveness. The companies that create these apps actually hire psychology experts to design features that exploit our brain's reward system.
It's true, they do, and it makes sense from a business perspective.
Yeah.
If they can understand how our brains work and what motivates us, they can design experiences that keep us engaged and coming back for more.
It's a bit unsettling to think that these apps are designed to be so captivating, isn't it?
It is a little bit.
It makes you wonder how much control we really have over our own choices when it comes to social media use.
It's a question worth pondering. If these companies are deliberately engineering their platforms to be addictive, it raises important questions about our agency in the digital age. We'll explore these questions in more depth as we continue our deep dive.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive so far, and it's clear that social media, while offering many benefits, also has a shadow side that we need to be aware of. We've explored the potential downsides of social media, from feelings of inadequacy and comparison to the addictive nature of these platforms. What are your key takeaways from this conversation so far? What resonated with you the most?
I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways is that sense of being overwhelmed, that carrying around that stack of books analogy that we talked about earlier. I think it's easy to underestimate the cumulative effect of all those little notifications, all those comparisons, all that information that's constantly coming at us.
And it can be exhausting. It's like a mental drain.
It really can.
And it can lead to those feelings of inadequacy and negativity that we talked about.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to be mindful of that and to be intentional about our social media use.
Absolutely. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It's up to us to wield it wisely and to be mindful of its potential impact on our lives.
I completely agree. And that brings us to our final thought-provoking question for you to ponder as we wrap up this part of our deep dive. If social media companies are deliberately engineering their platforms to be addictive, what does that say about our ability to make conscious choices in the digital age? It's a question that's sure to spark some interesting reflections. We'll be back soon with part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll explore some more strategies for reclaiming control over our social media habits.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the shadow side of social media. We're continuing our exploration of the potential downsides of these platforms, drawing insights from that unexpected source, a YouTube video designed for English language learners.
It's amazing how valuable information can pop up in the most unexpected places, isn't it? It's like finding a treasure chest in your own backyard.
Exactly. And speaking of treasures, let's dive back into the practical strategies that the video suggests for reclaiming control over our social media habits. Remember, we left off talking about those unsettling tactics social media companies use to keep us hooked, like designing features that exploit our brain's reward system.
Yeah, it's like a magician revealing their secrets, except in this case, the magic trick is designed to keep us glued to our screens.
Exactly.
It's true. It's like they figured out how to push all the right buttons in our brains to keep us coming back for more. But as we discussed, by understanding these tactics, we can start to break free from their spell. So let's pick up where we left off. The video highlights a few specific strategies that can help us regain control over our social media habits. One of them is uninstalling those tempting apps from our phones. Have you ever tried that?
I have, and it's a classic strategy for a reason. It creates a barrier between you and the instant gratification of those apps.
Yeah.
By removing that easy access, you're forced to be more deliberate about your social media use.
It's like putting those tempting snacks on the highest shelf in the pantry. Out of sight, out of mind. Right.
Exactly.
But the video also acknowledges that completely deleting those apps might not be realistic for everyone, so they offer another suggestion, logging in through your browser instead of using the app. What do you think about that?
It's a great compromise.
Yeah.
It adds an extra step, a little bit of friction, which can be enough to break that automatic habit of reaching for the app. Think of it like taking the batteries out of the remote control.
Okay.
You can still watch TV, but you have to make a conscious effort to get up and change the channel. It's a small change that can have a big impact on our habits.
Now, another suggestion they make is to use social media only on your laptop. The idea is that it creates more intentional experience rather than that constant on-the-go scrolling we often do on our phones. What do you think about that?
I think it's an excellent idea. It's about creating boundaries and designated spaces for social media use. When we confine it to our laptops, we're less likely to let it seep into every aspect of our lives.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming those in-between moments, waiting in line, commuting those few minutes before bed, and using them for something other than scrolling. Perhaps we could read a book, have a conversation, or just enjoy the quiet.
It's about rediscovering the joy of being present in the moment, rather than constantly seeking distraction. We live in a world that's so saturated with information and stimulation that it's easy to forget the simple pleasure of just being.
Well said. Now, the video also touches on the importance of turning off those pesky notifications. Those little pings and buzzes that constantly beckon us back to the apps, like tiny digital sirens luring us back into the digital sea.
I know, it's so true. Those notifications are like digital breadcrumbs, leading us back to the app even when we had no intention of going there. They play on our fear of missing out, our curiosity, our desire for connection. It's like they're whispering, hey, remember us. There's something exciting happening over here. You don't want to miss out.
And all too often, we give in to that temptation, even if we know it's not serving us.
We do.
It's like a reflex. We hear the notification, and our hand automatically reaches for our phone.
I know, it's like we're Pavlov's dogs.
Exactly.
But by turning off those notifications, we can reclaim our attention and choose when and how we engage with social media. It's about taking back control of our digital lives and deciding what's important to us, rather than letting those apps dictate our every move.
I want to go back to something we touched on earlier, the power of taking breaks from social media altogether. The video doesn't go into too much detail about this, but I think it's a strategy worth exploring further.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried a social media detox?
Absolutely. It's something I try to do regularly, even if it's just for a day or two. It's amazing how much clarity and peace of mind you can gain by simply disconnecting from those digital distractions. It's like hitting the reset button on your brain, giving yourself some space to breathe and think.
It's like cleansing your mental palate. You suddenly have space for new thoughts, new ideas, new experiences that might have been drowned out by the constant noise of social media.
Exactly. And you might be surprised at how much you don't miss it. Often we build up this fear of missing out, but once we step away, we realize that most of what we're missing is just noise and distractions. It's like stepping out of a crowded, noisy room into the peace and quiet of nature.
It's true.
Yeah.
And sometimes that fear of missing out can actually keep us from truly living our lives and experiencing the things that bring us joy. We're so busy scrolling through other people's experiences that we forget to create our own. We become spectators instead of participants in our own lives.
Exactly. It's a reminder to be present in the moment, to savor the experiences we're having, and to connect with the people around us in a meaningful way, to put down our phones and engage with the world around us.
Beautifully said. Now, the video also briefly mentions some of the positive aspects of social media, like staying connected with friends and family who live far away. It's important to acknowledge that these platforms can be valuable tools for communication and community building.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance. Social media can be a force for good when used intentionally and mindfully. It can help us connect with people, learn new things, and even make a difference in the world.
But the key is to be aware of the potential downsides and to develop strategies for mitigating those risks. It's about using social media as a tool that enhances our lives, rather than letting it control us. It's about being the master of our digital destiny.
Exactly. And it's about remembering that true connection, fulfillment, and well-being often come from those real-world experiences, relationships, and activities that nourish our souls. It's about finding joy and meaning in the tangible world, not just the digital one.
Well said. Now, I want to share a personal anecdote that relates to this idea of reclaiming control over our social media habits. A while back, I noticed that I was spending way too much time mindlessly scrolling through Instagram. It was like a reflex. I'd pick up my phone every few minutes, even if I had nothing specific in mind.
I think many of us can relate to that. Those apps are designed to be addictive, and they're very good at what they do.
Exactly. So I decided to try an experiment. I deleted the Instagram app from my phone, and for a whole week, I only allowed myself to check it on my laptop, and only for a limited amount of time each day.
That's a great strategy. It removes that instant access and forces you to be more intentional about your usage.
And you know what? It was amazing. At first, I felt a bit anxious, like I was missing out on something. But after a few days, I started to notice a shift. I felt calmer, more focused, and I had so much more free time. It was like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders.
It's amazing how much mental space we reclaim when we break free from those constant digital distractions, isn't it? It's like decluttering your mind and creating space for new possibilities.
And the best part was, I didn't miss out on anything important. I was still able to connect with friends and family, stay informed about things that mattered to me, and enjoy the creative content I loved. It was a reminder that social media doesn't have to be the center of our universe.
It's a reminder that we can choose how we engage with social media and that we have the power to create a digital lifestyle that supports our well-being and our goals.
Exactly. And that week-long experiment inspired me to make some lasting changes. I still use Instagram, but I'm much more mindful about how and when I engage with it. I've turned off most of the notifications, I limit my scrolling time, and I make a conscious effort to prioritize real-life connections and experiences.
It's about finding what works for you and creating a digital lifestyle that supports your well-being and your goals. It's about being intentional and mindful rather than passive and reactive.
So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to encourage you to reflect on your own social media habits. Are they serving you? Or are they draining your time, energy, and attention? Are they helping you connect with what truly matters, or are they distracting you from it?
What small changes can you make to reclaim control and create a healthier relationship with these powerful tools? It might be something as simple as turning off notifications, deleting an app, or setting aside specific times for social media use. Small changes can lead to big shifts in how you feel, how you think, and how you live your life.
It's about taking back control of your digital life and making it work for you, not the other way around. We'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive into social media's shadow side, where we'll explore the broader societal implications of these platforms. Stay tuned for more insights and actionable tips. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the shadow side of social media. We've been exploring the potential downsides of these platforms, from those feelings of inadequacy in comparison to the addictive nature of their design. But now I want to shift our focus to a broader question, one that goes beyond our individual experiences.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in our personal struggles with social media, but I think it's important to step back and consider the impact of social media on society as a whole.
Exactly. We've talked about how these platforms can affect our mental health, our relationships, and even our productivity. But what about their influence on our culture, our politics, and our sense of shared reality?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. Because, as we've seen, these platforms aren't just neutral tools for communication. They're designed to capture our attention, to influence our thoughts and behaviors,
Right.
and to generate profit.
Right. And as we discussed earlier, they often do this by exploiting our brain's reward system, using algorithms that feed us a steady stream of content that keeps us hooked.
Exactly.
It's like a digital slot machine that's designed to keep us pulling the lever, hoping for that next hit of dopamine.
And the more time we spend on these platforms, the more data they collect about us, our interests, our preferences, our fears, our hopes. And this data is incredibly valuable
Right.
because it can be used to target us with personalized advertising, to shape our opinions, and even to predict our actions.
Yeah, it's a bit like living in a world where every move is being tracked and analyzed, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It can feel like we're losing control of our own narratives.
It can.
And that raises a fundamental question. Who's really in control? Are we using these platforms or are they using us?
Right.
Are we shaping the digital landscape or is it shaping us?
That's the question.
It's a question that philosophers have been wrestling with for centuries. But in the age of social media, it takes on a whole new urgency. The stakes feel higher than ever.
They do.
Yeah.
And there are no easy answers, but I think it's a conversation we need to be having as individuals, as communities, and as a society. We need to be critical consumers of these platforms, to be aware of their potential impact, and to demand more transparency and accountability from the companies that create them.
I agree. We can't just passively accept the way things are. We need to engage in a thoughtful, critical dialogue about the role of social media in our lives and in our world.
Absolutely.
And we need to be proactive about protecting our privacy, our data, and our mental well-being. We need to develop strategies for using these platforms in a way that empowers us rather than exploits us.
For sure.
But I don't want to paint an entirely bleak picture, though. It's important to remember that social media can also be a powerful force for good. It can connect us with like-minded people, it can amplify voices that might otherwise be silenced, and it can facilitate movements for social change.
Absolutely. We've seen countless examples of how social media can be used to raise awareness, to mobilize communities, and to challenge injustice. It can be a tool for connection, for education, and for positive social impact.
But I think the key is to be mindful of the potential pitfalls, to use these platforms with intention and discernment, and to never lose sight of those real-world connections and experiences that truly nourish our souls.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot,
Yeah.
where we can harness the power of social media for good without sacrificing our well-being, our privacy, or our autonomy.
Well said. It's about recognizing that social media is just one part of our lives and not letting it overshadow the things that truly matter.
So as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts.
Mhm.
First, remember that you have the power to choose how you engage with social media. You can set boundaries, you can curate your feeds, you can take breaks, and you can even choose to opt out altogether.
We can't.
Second, be mindful of the content you consume and how it's affecting you. If you're finding that certain platforms or types of content are triggering negative emotions, it might be time to unfollow, mute, or even block those sources.
Good advice.
And third, remember that true connection, fulfillment, and happiness are often found outside the digital realm. So put down your phone, step away from the screen, and go out and experience the world. Connect with nature, engage in meaningful conversations, pursue your passions, and cultivate those real-world relationships that bring you joy.
It's in those moments of presence, connection, and authenticity that we truly thrive. Social media can be a